Hello, Espesinians! Welcome back to our subject in contemporary art forms in the Philippines. Are you all ready for our lesson 2? Today, we will discuss the brief history of the Philippine arts. We will also discover the importance and the legacy that contemporary arts given to the society, the different forms and reflection of the past artists that have given life to the improved works of our fellow Filipino on its continuation of the Philippines culture. At the end of the lessons, you are expected to identify the major periods and contributors of the Philippine art history. Build an initial vocabulary of the basic terms of art in the Philippine history, and define contemporary arts by situating it with this Philippine art. After discussing the lesson 1, we all now understand that contemporary arts are works that are being revived or improved in today's world, as these arts are produced by our ancestors that were preserved and enhanced. As time changes, the people's cultures as well as its traditions are coming to face its extensions, thanks to the improvisation and creativeness of the human mind to portray such arts blending with the trend of the new day's world. And to begin our lesson, let us answer the question, was there art before colonization? And to begin our lesson 2, let us start discussing the pre-conquest in 1890 BC to 255 AD. This is refer art before the coming of the first colonizers. In stylistic terms, we refer it as indigenous or native to emphasize the idea that our ancestors have been making art even before colonization. It is also described in culture terms as pre-colonial, as term to use for the general way of life before colonization. Although terms are interchangeable, it is also useful to keep this distinction in mind when studying the art of the past. To understand it better, when we say historical term, we are talking about pre-conquest. Stylistic term is for indigenous, and when you hear the word cultural term, we are talking about pre-colonial. Prior to colonization, art of the ancient Filipinos were woven into fabric of everyday life. Everyday expressions were all integrated within rituals mark significant moments in a community's life, like planting and harvesting, rites of passage, funerary ceremonies, and weddings. Under pre-conquest, ritual is one of the arts that started in the Philippines. Our ancestors, just like all others in the world during those times, were hunter-gatherers. Before there were cities and large monuments, the pre-colonial Filipino hunted food and game that were shared among members of a community in gathering where they are told stories about the hunt. They imitated the movement of animals and prey and the sounds that they made, prepared themselves for the hunt, and prayed to be endowed with the strength of the animal. They form an oral storytelling which marks the beginning of literature. Many of these rituals, which we consider as the earliest form of theater, are still alive in the various regions. Next form of arts under the pre-conquest is native dance. In the zigzag roads towards the mountainous region of the northern Philippines reside the tribe of Igorot. Kanyao is a festival or ceremony of the indigenous mountain people of northern Luzon. It is a social religious ritual where chickens, pigs, and carabaos are butchered as a sacrifice and feasted on. It is found in the Cordillera Autonomous Region. Another type of native dance during the pre-conquest is what we called the Kashawing dance. It is known ritual for the Maranaos, a ritual also to ensure abundance during the rice planting and harvesting. It is also a ritual in that involves reenactment of the pact made by the ancestors of the community and the unseen spirits that inhabit the lake. Another type of native dance under the pre-conquest is Tagbanwa dance. The name Tagbanwa literally means people from our place. Banwa means country or place. They are actually the more dominant of the ethnic groups of Palawan. The Tagbanwa believe that every 30th moon, three goddesses descend from heaven to bless the planting of rice. The shaman goes into a trance amidst ritual chanting and dancing and is believed to be taken over by the goddesses themselves. The next type of native dance under the pre-conquest is the Pangalay dance. Pangalay is the traditional fingernail dance of the Tausug people of the Sulu archipelago and eastern coast Bajau of Sabah. A dance form traditionally performed by Tausug people of the southern Philippines. This dance is distinct because it is characterized by hand movements that resembled the movement of ocean waves, enhanced by long metal fingernails worn by the dancers. And the next type of native dance under the pre-conquest is the talip dance. According to the National Library of the Philippines, talip is a dance done after a courtship dance. The man lures a woman with an attractive blanket to place on her shapely shoulders. Also, the Ifugao celebrate the intaneg or wedding with the festival dance called Dinuya. Aside from the communal functionality of indigenous art, creative forms also embody aesthetic, technological, and ritual values that exist in various region forms with the present, such as the following, like the pottery, weaving, curving, metalwork, and jewelry. The pre-colonial Filipinos have been making images before colonization. This is exemplified by the country's rich tradition in curving. One of the curving arts during the pre-colonial is bulul, also known as bulul or tinagtagu. This is a curved wooden figure used to guard the rice crop by the Ifugao people of northern Luzon. The sculpture are highly styled representation of ancestors and are thought to gain power from the presence of the ancestral spirits. This is a rare and unusual piece with also a fine, rich, dark brown patina with trace element of a blood sacrifice. It measures approximately 23 inches tall by 8 inches wide by 6 inches deep. This is an extraordinary piece of antique 19th century Ifugao tribal art that has a hair hole in the middle of the top on its head, wear and signs of tribal use. The next carving art during the pre-colonial is hagagi. These are traditional large ceremonial benches carved for wealthy Ifugao families as a symbol of wealth, power, and prestige. After carving arts during the pre-colonial, pottery was also one of the arts that until now still exist. The Manunggul jar is a secondary burial jar excavated from a Neolithic burial site in the Manunggul cave of the Tabon Caves at Lipunan Point in Palawan, Philippines. It dates from 890 to 710 BC, and the two prominent figures at the top handle of its cover represents the journey of the soul to the afterlife. Another cherished living tradition is weaving during the pre-colonial. Textile weaving has a long history that the Philippine ethnologistic groups have become rich textile weaving tradition. Textiles are also not only for functional, they also impart knowledge about the people's belief system. A backstrap loom or a pedal loom is used to weave design that holds special meaning for a particular cultural group. An example of weaving is piece siyabit. It is the multicolored woven cloth of the tausug. It is traditionally worn by tausug men as a headdresser or clothing accessory folded neatly and draped over the left shoulder. It is also worn along with the lapi or upper garments and the sawal or loose trousers. Next example that we have is the malong. This is a traditional Filipino rectangular or tube-like wrap-round skirt bearing a variety of geometric or ochre designs. The malong is traditionally used as a garment by both men and women of the numerous ethnic groups in the mainland Mindanao and parts of the Sulu archipelago. Another weaving art is tepo mat. A tepo is a colorful hand-woven mat made from the dwarf pandan leaves which grow abundantly on the coast of Tawi-Tawi. The leaves are pressed to soften and boiled to dye before woven in vivid hues. Cultivated pandan varieties are preferred over the wild ones for their durability. These mats are highly coveted as they finer strips woven tightly, plus they have an array of intricate and colorful designs. This is also traditionally an exclusively female activity amongst the Sama Bajau. The mat weaving is an important facet of their cultural identity. Another weaving art is what we call the bubu trap. This is still under the pre-colonial. Bubu trap is a fish trap, pamurakan, now absurd for the collection of the catch. Bubu can be 160 centimeters in length and 113 centimeters in diameter, and it is provided with 9 small rounded entries leading to the funnel-shaped entrapments. A fish that you can catch here can be as much as 10 to 12 kilos. Long before the coming of the Spaniards, the pre-colonial people of the Philippines already possessed a varied and vibrant music culture. The country's indigenous culture through the existence of ethnic musical instruments such as the body ornamentations. An example of this is the Boxer Codex. It depicts the Tagalogs, Visayans, Zambals, Cagayanes, or possibly Ibanags and Negritos of the Philippines in vivid color. An upper-class Tagalog couple was portrayed wearing a gold jewelry while the Visayans are shown full covered with tattoo is what they refer to as Islas de los Pintados. Same as a jewelry, makes the wearer more attractive and pleasing to the gods. Like the Tibuli, wears brass chains, bells, and colorful beads. Another kind of jewelry is what we call betel nut boxes or Maranao Lutoan. These are heavy brass boxes with compartments for the main ingredients, betel nut, lime, areca leaves, and cloves, cinnamons, and tobacco, all which would be mixed to create an addicting, tooth-reddening chew. Next is what we called Sara Perdue. This is a process used in metal casting that consists of making a wax model as a statuette. coating with a refractory or as a clay to form a mold, heating until the wax melts and runs out of small holes left in the mold, and then pouring metal into the space left vacant. Long before the coming of the Spaniards, the pre-colonial people of the Philippines already possesses a vibrant and varied musical culture. The country's indigenous cultures through the existence of ethnic musical instruments such as pipes, flutes, zithers, drums, kudyapi, kulintang, gangsa, and agung. One of the musical instruments that our ancestors used during the pre-colonial is kudyapi. This is the Philippine two-string fretted boat lute. It is the only string instruments among the Palawano people and one of the several among other groups such as the Maranao and Manobo. Another musical instrument is what we call the kulintang. It is a set of 8 gongs made of bronze on a wooden stand in the shape of sari manok, accompanied by one larger gong and 2 drums. The next musical instrument during the pre-colonial is gansa. It is a single hand-held smooth surface gong with a narrow rim. A set of gangsa, which is played 1 gong per musician, consists of gangsa tuned to different notes depending on regional or local cultural preferences. Another musical instrument during the pre-colonial is what we called agong. Agong is a set of 2 wide-rimmed vertically suspended gongs used by the Maguindanao, Maranao, Sama-Badjao, and Tausug people of the Philippines as a supportive instrument in kulintang ensembles.